I just want to touch on an idea here about what it means to have internal success and then as opposed to external success. Now, internal success you basically can reach at any time in your life. There's not really, I mean, yes, it takes effort. It can take years of your life to finally get to a place where maybe you've overcome addictions, coping mechanisms. Maybe you started drinking alcohol to self-medicate. Maybe it was marijuana. Maybe it was processed foods, distracting yourself with TV, with various entertainment. All basically trying to run from yourself, run from your responsibilities. You may not even have realized that you were doing that. But then you can't run from yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. So you might enter into different situations and you blame the situation, you blame other people. It's their attitude. It's not my fault. It's the circumstance. But then there's an idea where it goes, the circumstance doesn't make the man, it reveals the man. Wherever you go, there you are. The circumstance doesn't change things. Which is why if you can't make it work in one situation, you're not gonna be able to make it work in another situation. But let's just say internally, you may finally get to a place where you realize that you were running from yourself. So you get off the coping mechanisms, you get off the stimulation, you stop trying to run from yourself, you stop trying to avoid the internal battle that you have within, the internal discrepancies, struggles, misalignment, if that's even a word. And you start accepting things as they are, and you start dealing with maybe the turmoil that you're dealing with from within by no longer seeking indulgences outside of yourself, but you look internally to start cultivating internal strength to cope with life's challenges from within. You get off the coping mechanisms, you get off the stimulation, you get off the addictions. You're seeking peace, calm, serenity, stability. Now, if you came from a place of turmoil, if you came from a place of struggle, of lack, of scarcity, chaos, when you start trying to change your circumstances, and maybe you start to get a sense of peace and calm, and maybe your life starts to become stable, that can actually feel like something's wrong. It feels uncomfortable because you're not used to that. So then as a defense mechanism, your mind tries to pull you back into what was once comfortable for you because it's a survival mechanism. If you survived this long living your life the way that you did, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's not optimal, even if it actually isn't good for you, your mind's going to try to bring you back into those kinds of situations. You save some money and there's a glass ceiling, and then you pull yourself back down into going back into debt, into having nothing in the bank, because that's what you're used to. So again, being internally successful, that's when you get to a point where you have self-control, self-discipline. You start accepting prosperity in your life, abundance. You start embracing calm, peace, serenity, consistency. And self-reliance. And when you have a solid foundation like that, that's when you've already won. You've already won the internal struggle, the internal battle, the battle with oneself. And when you've done that, anything is possible. Because now you have a solid foundation, and with a solid foundation, you can accomplish anything. You see, but the external rewards that comes from having a solid foundation, that's something that takes time. You can't skip the process. Skills take time to cultivate. Skills take time to cultivate. Material abundance, material success, that takes time to cultivate, and that's something that you cannot skip the process there. The internal change can happen in an instant. That's something that you can win today. But as is said, success must be earned and re-earned. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new day to challenge yourself, to prove to yourself that you can do it again, because you're only as good as the last time that you went out. You're only as good as the previous day. But you're not comparing yourself to others. You can look at others as inspiration, as models for what could be possible, because whatever one human being can do, so can another. But then you don't compare yourself to others. You compare yourself to how well you did yesterday. And your reward no longer is instant gratification. It's not smoking weed, drinking alcohol, watching porn, whacking off. That's no longer your reward. Your reward is having more time capital, more mental capital, more money in the bank. You see, but just because you've won the internal battle, just because you've mastered maybe yourself, maybe just for the day, because every day must be earned again, that doesn't entitle you to monetary success. It doesn't entitle you to skill acquisition. It doesn't entitle you to material wealth, abundance, because each one of those things is a area in itself, and each area takes focused, conscious, deliberate practice, repetition, time, investment. Each one of those things takes time to develop and cultivate. And you must put your focus into each one of those areas to see results in those areas. But when you have a solid foundation, you are more likely to see the results in those areas, whatever area it is that you choose. And that becomes your reward. That becomes your reward. Waking up in the morning and taking a breath of fresh air, that first breath of fresh air. The smells. The smell when you first get outside and you take that first breath. Appreciation, gratitude for maybe your 5 senses. To be able to touch, to be able to taste, to be able to see, to hear, to smell. And no matter how bad things get, just like in the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, no matter how bad things get externally, when you've mastered yourself, when you understand that you are not a victim, and no matter what, you always have control over your actions, then your life what you decide to do is not going to make your life worse. You're going to search for solutions, and you will prevail. You will prevail in anything that you do. You will make it happen because you build up a track record with yourself. You build up trust in yourself, self-reliance. You're no longer looking for something outside of yourself to provide what you want. You go out and you have the ability to at least try to make it happen for yourself. You develop independence. And you do this by keeping commitments to yourself, by following through. And it takes time. It takes time, but if you don't quit and you keep working out at it, eventually you will succeed. And if you are given the privilege of having the requisite amount of time to invest into the skills that you wish to develop, into building or cultivating whatever area it is that you wish to cultivate, whether that's your finances, whatever skill it is that you want to develop. Say you want to start getting better socially and developing a more abundant social life, maybe a more abundant sex life, giving yourself more options. That is something that you can do. It's no different than going to the gym, building muscle. There is proven ways that have worked for many, many others to acquire the results in practically any field that you wish to develop for yourself. And if it can work for one, it can work for you. Now, if you want to join this journey, subscribe to my channel, like the video, hit me up if you would like to get in touch with me. I'll leave my email at the bottom in the description, datingdestruction@gmail.com. And until next time, peace out, my friends.